Luke Skywalker was just a farm boy until he received a mysterious message from a princess.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
She's beautiful.
Star Wars, starring Mark Hamill,
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
Harrison Ford,
Boring conversation anyway. Luke, we're gonna get company! I think we took a wrong turn.
Carrie Fisher,
Good luck.
Alec Guinness,
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
20th Century Fox presents the most extraordinary motion picture of all time, Star Wars.
Here's where the fun begins.
No legendary adventure of the past could be as exciting as this romance of the future.
Here they come.
May the Force be with you in Star Wars.
Never. I'll never turn to the dark side. You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me. So be it, Jedi. This is where the fun begins.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to what I'm calling Cantina Night. So I come up with all these crazy themes. So with no calf chat, which resulted into celebrating tonight with you guys on Cantina Night here on my channel. And I see everybody's dropping in, and welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're catching the replay, please smash that like button. Please interact by leaving comments below as well. And thank you guys so much. And I'm so excited to be here because today is May 25th. And we all know what that means. If you're a huge Star Wars fan, you will understand that this day is the day that the brilliant George Lucas with his creatives brought us Star Wars, and then what is now called A New Hope. And then also, we also have Return of the Jedi, who is basically its 40-year celebration of since its first premiere at, the theaters and all that. And I do have a question in the chat for you guys. And that is, what is your favorite John Williams score? So out of all the movies, Star Wars movies, the real authentic Star Wars movies from George Lucas, what is your favorite score from John Williams? We don't pay much attention to, or we don't give him credit a lot to these movies, because without his brilliance, George's brilliance and his brilliance in developing these movies, from the quiet scenes to the action scenes, the score really impacts the movie. So let me know here, and I'm going to go through and see who's here and say hello to everyone. And I did plan on being in cosplay tonight as Leia. I'm not telling you which one, but the costume did not come in time. It's going to be here Saturday. So we'll see what I do with that, but I'm not telling you which one. Return of the Jedi, Leia. I'm not telling you which one of the three it's going to be. So just keep your guys' thoughts going on that, I guess you could say, excited for when I actually do that. And of course, my hair is long enough to fix it up, to try to resemble her as much as I can. So let's see here. So I have Darth Spantum, Hey Yo, and he's been chilling here for quite a while. And Corey Cochran, hey, how you doing? Glad you're here. And let's see here. And then Rodimus Prime, one of the channel members, thank you so much for your continued support as a channel member. Thank you so much. Again, if you can support as a channel member, it's greatly appreciated as well. And let's see here. And then we have Open Airlock Policy. What's up? Smash the like. Jag is behind Jaina with the O face. Ooh, wow. We're going there, huh? it's we're at the cantina, so I guess it's no holds barred when it comes to talk. I don't know. All right, and let's see here. Rodimus says John Williams' theme is Duel of the Fates. Okay, so that's yours. And let's see here. And then Jackson is here. I was going to say good morning. So good evening, however, whatever, evening for me, I guess you could say. Jackson says this is where the fun begins. Yes, this is where the fun begins. And I decided, so hopefully I might have to, put my, I have to check my, the monetization for this video, because I did play those, the trailer for Star Wars, so we'll see how that goes, so yeah. And then Commander Chips Stinger, what's up, how are you doing? And let's see here, Jim the Despot, hello everyone, is hooch allowed? Yes, hooch is allowed. Go get your favorite drink, whatever you're going to sip on, your favorite spirits, your favorite fire water, whatever you want to call it, and sit down with me and let's have some fun. At least it's not Cantina night. Yeah, I misspelled it somewhere. That's why he's saying that. Rodimus Prime says, OG, when will the Watch Clone Wars 03? I was hoping here pretty soon, so I have to update my StreamYards for the program I want to use for that, and that's why every cent that this channel makes will go towards any upgrades and anything I need for the channel. So I just have to go ahead and upgrade so I can use the webinar portion of this to do that with you guys. So I just haven't had a chance to schedule it just yet, but I look forward to it. Let's see here. Happy Real Star Wars Day, everyone. Happy Real Star Wars Day. Tuscan Bob, it means tomorrow is the 26th. Duh. Yes, it does. Jim says the trench run. And okay, let's see here. And I am wearing my Star Wars t-shirt here, so I am comfortable tonight. I was hoping that I could surprise you guys with the cosplay, and it's the mail. It wasn't delivered. It was supposed to have been here this morning. Open Airlock Polly says Ben Kenobi's death, TIE fighter attack. And let's see here. And George Lucas is in the house. What's up? What's up, George? Thank you so much. And then Darth Spantum says, George Lucas in the chat. Yes, in the chat. So if you guys are coming in, please hit the like button as well. And let me know what is your favorite score from John Williams when it comes to the 6 movies. Steven Saucedo says, hey, yo. No, the V is a U. Oh, okay, I get it. Darth Spantum, my favorite Star Wars, I get it. my favorite John Williams score is The Force Suite. Okay. And right over the head. No, I got it. It did go over the head a little bit, but let's see here. Hello, OG and chat. Hey, Fook Norris, how you doing? What's up? And open. Let's see here. All right. So today is the day. Like I said, I was going to do a big old calf chat, and then I had an appointment and everything going on. So I was like, why not do something different? Stream during the nighttime. I know that Raging Rhino is streaming. I tried to push this back as far as I needed to. I didn't want to begin at 10 though, my time. So here we are. So if you guys are going between streams, thank you so much for the support. Matt G, hello. Yeah, night coffee. Cantina nights. And so with this right here, we are celebrating, and let me see, I got the book in front of me. basically Return of the Jedi's 40th anniversary, and I can't believe this happened. So I got that right there. That was a sticker that I tried to take off and try to heat up a little bit and peel the sticker off, and yeah. But anyways, so have you guys read the novel? And what do you think of the novel versus the movie? So if you guys read the novel versus the movie, what do you guys think about that? And let's see here. Rodimus says, OG, what's your favorite novel? Mine is Darth Plagueis. The book is just so good. You know what? That's so hard to decide. I say one of my most favorite novels is, and you guys probably heard me say this before, and it's Legacy of the Force Inferno. So I like all the interaction with Jason and Luke, and even with his Jaina and Jason and stuff. So when they do, and I like the this is before Jaina goes off to get training from the Mandalorians. So yeah. There's a novelization. There's a novel. You didn't know there's a novelization of Return of the Jedi? There are. Oh my God. Okay. Phantom. Yes, there is. Every movie has a novelization, and in fact, a lot of okay, hopefully I'm not like a robot to you guys because my internet says, you're gonna fuck up right now. But every movie had a novelization that came out before the movie. So I think even Return of the Jedi. So, but correct me if I'm wrong from what I remember. Yes, yeah. For whatever reason, I froze. Only bad thing about Plagueis is that it reaffirms TCW. Correct. And we're going to talk, well, we might get into a little bit of that for Cringe Factor. So just a little hint there. Jim says, I like Jedi Twilight the most because it got me into the Star Wars EU. Ooh, nice. And Soul Assassins in the house. What's up? Legacy of the Force Inferno. Yes, there we go. Yeah, froze for a moment. Yep. Let's see here. And Darth Phantom. Yeah. So with this, we are celebrating. So what is your favorite moment? And I asked that in Twitter, but I'm asking you guys here, and I'm going to share something on Twitter with you guys about Return of the Jedi opening day, pictures and stuff. But what was your favorite moment in Return of the Jedi? So what is your favorite moment? I want to know in the chat, and I'm going to go ahead and bring this up here. And here we go. So I shared this on Twitter, and I asked, imagine the anticipated, well, actually, I didn't ask anything here, but people responded, and I really liked it, so I asked below. So imagine the anticipation, waiting in line to see Return of the Jedi, May 25th, 1983. So, these are images of the lines here, people waiting to get in to see. And so I thought that was really cool because, that's phenomenal. That's phenomenal when people are that excited to see the conclusion of the trilogy, what's going to happen next, and so I wanted to share that. And then I asked, because I noticed everybody was commenting on this. So I asked, if you have memories of this, please share. I want to share tonight on Cantina night at 9 p.m. So basically we did have people share. Someone shared in here. So, we have some people are like, it was awesome. I was all of 18. And then Dan, when I was really young, I must have watched Return of the Jedi 10 plus times, never got tired of it. So you guys in the chat, not only do I want you guys, I'm sound bossy tonight, right? Not only do I want to know your favorite moment in Return of the Jedi, I want to know, like, where were you when you first seen it? So if you weren't born yet, but you maybe let me know, like if you weren't born yet, so you weren't able to see it when it first premiered, where were you at and how did it make you feel? Princess Sparkle says, the fact that I wouldn't be born until the next year is my biggest character flaw. So like I said, if you weren't born during this time, share with me where you seen it at and how did it make you feel? And then Rev Cav says, my buddies and I rode our bikes to the local theater to get in line. The streets were so packed, the police got to the theater to have an early show. We were at the front of the line and got in early. Awesome memory. So, these memories are amazing. Let's see here. And then, of course, someone shared this with me. May 25th is Star Wars Day, which I agree. And then Brian here shared, and he says, I turned 11 the week prior. Going to see it was a birthday present. What an awesome birthday present. My mother somehow kept my brother and I civilized for 3.5 hours in line. Wow. So you have a good mother then to keep you and your brother civilized. You guys probably were little hellraisers. And waiting in line at age 11, that young too. Yeah. Yeah. And then we have another comment here. Saw it with my parents when I was 7 years old. Surprise treat after school. I remember after we'd paid it and we're waiting to go into the screen, sneaking up and opening the door to the screen where it was near the end. Saw about 5 seconds of the space battle around the second Death Star. Wow. Just imagining peeking in and seeing that and be like, holy crap, and being more excited about that. Don't have to imagine, I was there. And then another one, I remember it well. I was 18 at the time, stood in line that evening with one of my best friends and her old brother. Felt so special being a part of something big, good feeling and camaraderie. That's amazing. And then another Warswick. I remember it very well. Stood in line with my mom for 2.5 hours. So look at that. That's kind of like the average 2.5 hours, 3 hours to stand in line and waiting to see something and coming out, see the conclusion of the original trilogy of Star Wars, what happened, playing in your mind, what's going to happen next, anticipating if what you think is going to happen is really going to happen and being that excited. Just imagine that. Just imagine that feeling. And then that's a stupid fucking ad. I hate those ads on there. So let's see what you guys have to say. E Clay is here. Let's see here. Here we go. Bingo Fett. That would sound like a res name. Like someone who is from the res who likes Star Wars. Bingo Fett. Hi, it's been a long time. And by the way, planning on playing Jedi Fallen Order for the third time. Why are you playing that? Why are you playing Disney Star Wars stuff? Oh my goodness. Well, you have fun with that. I haven't been into games in a while. I just don't have the time, but I do have Jedi Academy and that stuff. So the likes of that. I don't think there's been lines waiting for a film until the prequels and the Lord of the Ring films. You might be right. I should have pulled up some of the ones from the prequel era because many people are like, oh, well, everybody hated them. No one wanted to see them, kind of deal. But then when you look back at the history, people were even anticipating the next movie, like the Phantom Menace, even though people, there were some people that didn't like some characters. Not liking a character doesn't mean you hate the movie. It just means you don't like a certain character, right? So people misunderstand what that is about. And they think, oh, it's total hate for a movie. Yeah, so great stuff. Darth Bantam says, my favorite part of Return of the Jedi is the Luke versus Vader duel on the second Death Star. Best lightsaber duel of all Star Wars. Yeah, there's a lot of emotion there. You could see the growth of Luke. And you can even see, Vader by that time is conflicted, because they're having this mental, battle with each other as well. Not only are they physically fighting, but Vader wants to turn Luke. Luke wants to redeem or bring his father back. So you have that mental play going on. And so there's a lot of depth going on in that. Darth Phantom says, I wish I was able to see the original trilogy when they were first released in theaters. Too bad too bad you was born yet. You mean you wasn't born yet? He says, I was born in 1977, so I missed it. So you were born, you're a prequels baby. And that's cool. You were a prequels baby. So you probably had a chance later on. You're still itty bitty because The Phantom Menace came out in 1999, so that year around too. But you probably got to at least maybe, depending on your parents and your age, see Revenge of the Sith. Maybe. I was very young when I seen Star Wars for the first time, so I remember a lot of things, but there were some things that I'm like, kind of blurry a little bit because I was young. But there was pivotal scenes like Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars when I seen it at home on VHS that I remember because it kind of like stuck in my mind of impact in a good way, not bad way, in a good way. So yeah, I got it. And Aldeb, happy real Star Wars Day as of 16 minutes ago. Let's see here. And Rodimus Prime 21. I wish I got to watch Return of the Jedi in 1983. There were The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi lines. I didn't even pay attention. So, and no shortage of shills. Yeah, I didn't even pay attention to that. I didn't pay attention to that really. So stand corrected on that, maybe. Darth Bantam says, the first time I watched the original Star Wars trilogy over 20 years ago when I was a little kid. My uncle introduced me to Star Wars by watching his VHS copies of the original trilogy. And the trailer I shared, maybe I'll share it again. I might as well just, demonetize this nightcap, this Cantina night because of the fact that, probably it will be demonetized, or get a strike. I don't know. But I want to share that again. But when I shared what I'm getting at, because that was long winded, what I'm getting at is that I want to share that Star Wars trailer again because it's all original Star Wars. There's nothing special edition about that. So let's go ahead and take another look. Because this is the classical Star Wars. This is what George first gave us. Even you see it through the trailer, it's everything. There's even a line there where Han says, like this is where the fun begins, kind of deal. And so kind of saying, mirroring what Anakin says too, or Anakin says later on. So I'm going to go ahead and share that once again. Again, this is all the original stuff, no special edition. This is the trailer. So let's go ahead and take a look again.
Luke Skywalker was just a farm boy until he received a mysterious message from a princess.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
She's beautiful.
Star Wars, starring Mark Hamill,
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
Aren't you a little short for a stormtrooper?
Harrison Ford,
Boring conversation anyway. Luke, we're gonna get company! I think we took a wrong turn.
Carrie Fisher,
Good luck.
Alec Guinness,
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.
20th Century Fox presents the most extraordinary motion picture of all time, Star Wars.
Here's where the fun begins.
No legendary adventure of the past could be as exciting as this romance of the future.
Here they come.
May the Force be with you in Star Wars.
Just imagine that. That is special edition stuff. I know there could be a big, huge debate about the special edition versus what George really, brought out to us first. And I do, I don't mind the special editions, but I prefer the original. Just because that was what was given to us first. And I just froze again. This internet has been bugging me. Like been having problems with it, and it's the new server that they have here on the reservation. And I thought it was gonna be better for the streaming and stuff, and it's not. So let me see what you guys have to say. And Zagarout 315 is here. Hey, what's up? What's up? And here, happy Star Wars Day. O.G.Starwars. Yeah, the only Star Wars film I saw in theaters was Revenge of the Sith. Yeah, I figured that. It was like the third or fourth time I saw a film in theater. Wow. Yeah. Just imagine that being one of your, your first few theatrical, movies, seeing something in the theater that young. And it must have been like surreal. And it must have been, like just, I wouldn't say jaw dropping. I mean, maybe I'm being a little hyperbolic here or exaggerating. I don't know. But just imagine the feelings of going to your first movie, but then also your first three and seeing some phenomenal films back in the day when everything seemed okay with the storytelling and stuff like that, and there was no alternative themes or alternative motives that the producers and the storytellers are trying to say, and it was pure escapism. And silence do good. Hey, what's up? I don't think I've seen you here before. Just finished watching the theatrical edition. Oh, I think I read that one of Star Wars, original Star Wars. Yeah, and the best. Yes. And Holocron Library Fox, what's up? How you doing? Hello, Laura. Hello, chat. Happy Star Wars Day. And then my first watch of Star Wars was the VHS copy. Yeah, I thought I read that too. I guess yeah, I did freeze again. This has just been getting at me. Like all day, the internet was cool, and now because of the evening time. Matt G says, first Star Wars theatrical experience was 97 Return of the Jedi. All right. George Lucas should have kept re-releasing the original theatrical cuts of the original trilogy, along with the special edition versions on future videos format release, such as DVD and Blu-ray. And I guess it was said that he stayed with his special editions because that's what he really wanted to show, I guess you can say. Or that's the speculation on that. But again, there's a lot of people that will rather watch and do love the original. Matt G says, also saw Return of the Jedi last week or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I think it's funny. Okay, so I'm going to get into this, you guys. I am one of them that says, don't give them your money. If you don't support the direction the franchise is taking, like the new owners of the franchise is taking it, don't give them your money. This was a chance for them to make easy money. And I'm not saying that, in no way am I saying that Star Wars, Disney made this Star Wars. We all know George made this. What I'm pointing out is that by going and seeing this beloved Return of the Jedi, you are given money to sponsor for them to produce future stuff to further compromise and bastardize the lore. And with the rumors going on and I wanted to get into this, I wasn't going to pull up the article, so we'll talk about this right now. Let me just take this off the screen. They're talking about like the rumors or whatever is Mark Hamill and Hayden Christensen coming back for the new Jedi Order Rey movie. Now that's salt in the wounds to EU fans, especially to the arc of Luke Skywalker, because for him to come back as a Force ghost, and even Hayden, but I'm right now I'm going to refer to Luke, to come back as a Force ghost in a movie that's supposed to be titled, mind you never know, that might get canceled. That might get canceled. But to come back in a movie that is named after what Luke is known to bring back successfully, the new Jedi Order, even foreshadowed in Return of the Jedi novelization. But for him to come back as a Force ghost to guide Rey, that's salt in the wounds for us EU fans. That's a slap in the face. I have, had a few choice words on Twitter today about the tossing of the EU lore that they weren't going to use anymore, because that is canon still. And we can, some people can debate with me about what is canon. It's canon. So, but anyways, that is a slap in the face. That's a salt in the wounds right there. And I don't know why people are cheering this on, because the intention for this new Jedi Order to correct the wrongs of the Jedi Order and to take it in and evolve the Order, that's all Luke Skywalker. Now they gave it to Rey. So everything that was the original legacy characters is now all Rey's. The Falcon, she buried the Skywalker lightsabers, which yeah, just gonna bury the past. No longer exists. And probably Chewie's by her side because all of a sudden he's her pet. Like he owes a life debt to her, which is not even the case. So everything that belonged to the legacy characters now is hers. Now the new order. And so if it happens, yeah, who cares? But I'm saying in reality, common sense, you guys think about it, it's a slap in the face. It's a further slap in the face. I know I was watching when I was watching Casual Rage, and Tuscan Bog or Greg was saying, I hope that they make these movies so they lose a lot of money and stuff like that. And it made me laugh, but it was a great point as well. Let them bleed more money, right? Let them bleed more money. But this is a slap in the face still. Let me see what you guys have to say. And I was like, I'm not going to get on a huge rant with this, but I did a little bit. So Darth Bantam says Disney Tidings even released the unaltered original on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray. Disney Tidings. When was this? Disney didn't even released it, the unaltered original trilogy. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I was confused on that. Silence says, not the first to make this observation. One of the problems with the suppression of the theatrical edition, it prevents people from seeing the original Oscar-winning special effect work. Well, I could say it wasn't that altered where you don't see the special effect work because the special effect work is all throughout the movie. But I get your point. There's some things that were altered. There are some things that were added. One thing I would say is with the special edition, he did add an EU thing. And I'm glad I just remember this because I wanted to talk about this. I was thinking about this all day when I was at my doctor appointment and stuff. Okay, so there's a misconception here. I did my research. So the Outlander, is that the name of the ship? Or Outrider? Anyway, so Dash Render's ship. People were thinking that it was designed for the special editions and then put in Shadows of the Empire. I have the source book with me. It's back here behind me. And I did my further research. Well, the games, they needed ships for the games. One ship that was developed, it wasn't up to par with what LucasArts was wanting. And so Chang, one of the artists, came up with Dash Rendar's ship that was used. That was made for the game. And then as Georgia started to develop the special editions and stuff like that, they asked for, high definitions of all these ships that they were creating and stuff. And Dash Rendar's ship was the one that was chosen to be in the special edition. So there you go. So we have a lot of, like I said, we have a lot of synergy cross movie and EU stuff with the PT and a little bit with the special editions. So you want to give special editions credit for something, it could be that. But again, I do understand that the original version is what a lot of people prefer over the special edition. So Darth Bantam says, I haven't given any money to Disney since I went to see the disaster that was Rise of Palpatine. Yeah. Bringing back Mark Hamill and Hayden Christensen won't make me come back to watching Disney Star Wars. Yeah, and that's all it is. And I did share this on Twitter, and basically I just coined it as member berries because if they had total confidence in this new Jedi Order Rey movie that's about 15, 16 years after the Rise of Palpatine, they wouldn't need to. Why bring in Force Ghosts when they're supposed to be minimally used and there's a purpose. So when you start just bringing them over and over again as a Force ghost, you kind of lose how special this Force ghosts are supposed to be towards the lore. And now anybody can show up at any time and do whatever, and it just takes the uniqueness away from even that little aspect of the lore. That's how I see it. And then Harrison Ford is going to be in Captain America 4, which is so insanely hilarious. You know what? I didn't even see that, but I've been busy today. The guy is always in a bad mood when he agrees to be embarrassed in, in Indy 5. Then he's going to join the MCU. Yeah, I don't know. He should retire. He's at that age where he should just be enjoying himself. But we have some actors that do stay, in for as long as they can. And then Jim says, I quote Razor Fist from the title of the video he released today. I have to go watch that. We need more Walt and less Disney. I'm gonna have to go watch that. I'm gonna have to go watch that. I haven't watched a few of his videos lately, but I do like going and checking out what he has to produce. So Soul Assassin, if you want to share Razor Fist's link, if you can get it, please do so. It's a pretty cool guy. Some great videos. I did watch his excuse me. I did watch his video about Abraham Lincoln, and I have my opinion about Abraham Lincoln, and he was right on with me about Abraham. So Jackson says Outlander is a comic. That's right. That's right. Outrider was added because Lucas liked Empire game. Yeah, and he did like Shadows of the Empire. Yeah, he did like it. And that's one of the stories he read. I guess he's playing Cap Dad. Ray Palpatine won in the end. Yes. I always stay in as long as I can. Okay. Let's see. Yes, Ford's playing General Ross because that original actor passed. Razor Fist is based. Yes, I agree. And here you go, you guys. So here it is. And so if you're tuning in right now, let me know what your favorite score is from John Williams when it comes to Star Wars, because I know there's other movies that he made compilations for and stuff like that, compositions for. So let me know. So here you go. So Razor Fist, I do recommend. Holy heck, I do recommend. Go check out his video. Subscribe. Pretty cool guy. Pretty cool guy. Man, I got an itch in the back of my throat. What the hell's going on? Okay, I'm going to mute me real quick. And there we go. All right. And Jackson says, Outlander was about a fallen Jedi on the run into the Tatooine desert with Kayane Munda and Aura Singh on his tail. Yes. I don't know. I was thinking Outlander, Outrider, one of those two. But anyways, yeah. So with this being the 25th, and yeah, Dusk and Bob's like, and that means tomorrow's the 26th. Well, I kind of paraphrased. We're looking at Star Wars here. We're looking at Star Wars, and this is the end of week 3 for my channel. So we're going into week 4 tomorrow, which is going to be George Lucas era. Let me go ahead and bring that little schedule up for you guys. And I want to still do a panel live stream, but I haven't had a chance to set the date because this last week has been very busy for me with a lot of things on my home front aspect. So we are coming to an end with the Return of the Jedi week, and now 26th to the 31st, George Lucas era, PT, and expanded universe. So we'll get into a little bit more about George Lucas, the development, his creative process, all of that, just talking George Lucas. I'm going to say this, and you guys may agree with me on this, if you especially follow a lot of his quotes and what he has said in the past, since he, for the past decade or so. But he always contradicts himself. So you can go the history of what he has said in the past about development of Star Wars, whether EU or whatever his movies and stuff. But there's always something that he's contradicting himself, and his company has to go in and course correct what he has said. So it's not saying that he's a bad guy or anything like that. I just think that he speaks without fully thinking, because he hires people to maintain the company, maintain the lore, keep everything organized, and he's there to do the movies while he brings in people to do the EU aspects, whether it's at Lucas Arts for games, whether it is Lucas licensing for all the novel material, comic material, what have you, and even the shows, which would be, you know, um, Clone Wars '03, TCW. TCW is EU, you guys, so it is EU. But he's contradicted himself, and his company had to come in and correct. Like I said, that's not his responsibility to keep track of everything. And he may misunderstand or misinterpret things, and see his films, of course, above everything else, and that's a given, because he's the one that created this franchise through the movies. However, this is a multimedia franchise, which means it's all one lore under across all medias. That's the films, the shows, the novels, the comics, the games, all of that. So, we'll talk more about this once next week is here. Maybe I'll do a surprise live stream, because I've been meaning to do an individual surprise live stream. And I still do want to have a special live stream with some guests on here. So I will reach out and see if it's still doable with some individuals and stuff. And we will go with that. And then, of course, talking about the PT, because, the PT is just as special as the 3 original movies. So, I know I'm condensing them down into one little short week, but, they give us the tragedy of Anakin Skywalker and his fall to the dark side that sets up the OT. And all the events that happened during that time, who orchestrated it, who pulled the strings, what was going on, and what, and basically, we all know what happened, but, I'm just the way I'm talking. And, and the reason why Luke and Leia are split up and all that stuff, which goes into the expanded universe. So I think that this coming week is going to be a fun one. And I want to be more involved with it here soon, like posting a lot, maybe having a surprise, shows or two. I do got to get back on my EU shorts on the major manufacturers, because I didn't finish that quite yet, like I promised, and all that stuff. So let me see what you guys have to say here. Let me see here. Okay, yeah. So you subscribe to Razor Fist. Silence says, anyone else think we all talk about Disney too much? They're not going to change. I enjoyed talking about the old school EU things. I enjoyed and passing it along to newbies. Yeah, and this is what this is about. So I did get into a little bit of that. We are gonna, and stuff. And I just want to particularly talk about Star Wars now, like the true Star Wars and stuff like that. So with Return of the Jedi celebrating 40 years, this is my favorite, and I don't have my my face up on screen right now, but this is my favorite, my number one favorite. And if you guys want to share your favorite Star Wars movies out of the 6 in the comments, please do so. It's always fun to see everybody's like different views on what is their most favorite and what is their least favorite. But Return of the Jedi is mine. I love, it's just, we see the maturity of Luke, his growth, what he has gone through. We get to see how his compassion, his love for a man that is his father, that he hardly knew, that he wants to save and bring back so he could possibly have a relationship with him. But of course, we know that doesn't fruition, because Vader ends up saving him and in the process dies. So kind of a tragic ending in that sense with that type of relationship. But then he gains a whole new family. He has his sister. and we see Leia and Han's relationship budding. We started seeing it, developing in Empire Strikes Back. And we start seeing this, and Han being confused about who Leia really likes and stuff like that. And, her realizing, that, their brother and sister with what Luke reveals. And, like another reveal, not as big as Empire Strikes Back reveal when it comes to Luke and Leia, but it's still a reveal. It's still something that kind of, gets you on the edge of your seat, like, holy shit, and I don't think anybody's seen that coming. So when you guys want to go watch this, Return of the Jedi, and you heard Luke say those famous lines to Leia about, the Force is strong in my family. And when he revealed to her, that they're siblings, of course, when they revealed to each other they're siblings, of course, when you first heard that being told to him previously, but when he told Leia and seeing her expression, how did you feel about that whole reveal? From finding out to him telling her, what did you think about that? Get a little bit into that. Let me see here. Soul Assassin says, question for the chat. Anyone play the beat of the Super Return of the Jedi game for the so the Super Nintendo? Is that what that one is? I'm like, don't know the thing to that. I'm sorry. And the Soul Assassin, or Soul, you're not showing up on the chat for me. YouTube is doing its dirty tricks again. Wow. Yeah, he's showing up here. Okay. And that's crazy. And he's a mod. And no one is being banned of here right now from my channel. So I don't know what's going on with that. Crazy. Yeah, the PT is important to the whole George Lucas Star Wars, correct. Corey's Datapad has good video on George and the EU, essentially laying out that yes, he approved it all, and it wasn't exactly how he would have told each story had he written them all personally. Yeah, there's a difference. Of course, if someone, so let's use, what should we use? I don't want to use a big giant, I don't want to use a big series like New Jedi Order. So we'll go to Legacy. There's like 3 authors there. So if we changed out those 3 authors to another 3 authors, like Karen Travis, what do you call it? Troy Denning, and the third one, who was it? Anyways, so if we took out those 3 and put in an alternative 3, and they were told, this is where I want you to go to the story by Lucasfilm, the story would be different because everybody's going to see their version of story, right? There's going to be some similar outcomes or what have you, because even with George's sequel trilogy, there's still some similar outcomes with what he wanted Luke and Leia to do. And in the Star Wars Archives, episode 1 through 3, when he shared that information, and so there's still similarities, and there's still a little bit of differences. So everybody's going to have a different aspect on a storyline that is given to you, like story points that are given to you. You're going to still have some similarities and differences as well. And that's perfectly understood. I'm not saying that he would ever write beat by beat the same as the authors, but he did approve of them. He did offer guidance. He did offer like plot points, and even sat down with authors to develop the story as well. And and I say everything that happened between the movies and the EU, beautiful storytelling. He had a great team. He had writers that actually cared about the story and about the development and the direction that they wanted the story to go, with the approval of George. And you could tell there are some similarities, like in thought process, with some of these stories with what George wanted as well. So he had a great bunch of authors that him and the company brought in. And yeah, of course, there's always going to be stories that we may and may not like. There's stories that some that I don't care for too much versus some that I really, really like. Yeah. And it says, I love Jedi Fury in Return of the Jedi, the song when Luke finally beats Vader. Yeah. let's see here. The fall of the Republic, a portrayal of Republic that's become complacent. So tragedies and conflicts allow psychopaths to easily cross the Rubicon and wrest control as if overnight. That whole thing with the PT and Sidious orchestrating, Palpatine orchestrating everything. I mean, when you sit down, I can have a conversation, just someone with about the PT and Sidious. I would love just to sit down with someone who loves the arc of Sidious in the PT or Palpatine in the PT, and just sit down and pick the brain and talk about the brilliance of Palpatine and orchestrating even the materials that are just before the Phantom Menace. Because it's amazing how he orchestrated himself in such a way to gain control, even with the separatists, even with the Trade Federation. He orchestrated himself so well in all of that. And, it's all in result of the Sith sitting in the shadows, studying the Jedi, and taking advantage of the galaxy and putting themselves into important key areas. Just like if one of the catalysts to Sidious is Plagueis, and we know that he's from a baking family, and I will talk about more of this in the PT. I'm like way ahead of myself, but so he's one of the catalysts to Palpatine coming into power. So if you guys are familiar with the Darth Plagueis novel, you'll know what I'm talking about, and we'll get more into that. And so I'd love to sit down, find someone to sit down with, interview them about, especially if they really love Palpatine, Sidious, and understand his arc. I would love to sit down and just have a good interview with them about that whole, the whole arc of Palpatine. That would be so interesting. I'm going to take this off the screen now because we don't need to see this anymore. Hello. All right. That would be amazing. So just that in itself is such amazing work that George and especially, the writers came up with and stuff like that. But it all happened with the PT. And George had his thing about not allowing anybody to write in that time frame because he wanted to open the doors. And boy, did he open the doors for that. He opened the doors for that. Swap between Empire and Revenge of the for my favorites. Mine is Return of the Jedi and then Revenge of the Sith. So those are my two top. Return of the Jedi is mine too. And funny enough, the first one I watched since my dad had it on VHS. Lovely VHS. Yes, lovely VHS. Star Wars and Jurassic Park. There we go. Yeah. So with this, yeah, we are all here today because of George. We are here chatting Star Wars and having fun, getting into the lore and really picking out all the little nuances out of it that makes the story great. And one of my favorite scenes in Return of the Jedi is the beginning scenes when Luke infiltrates this whole scenario. So with Leia coming in, or him sending the droids and Leia coming in, and then of course she gets captured, and then she comes in to save Han, and then Luke comes in, and just his control and his power, and his maturity, how he handles the guards and everything like that. And there's been a debate with the part where the guards, if he force choked them or not. So what do you guys think it was? Do you guys think it was a force choke or not? So I did research that one. If you guys have seen me post about it in Twitter, you'll know what it is. If you haven't, and I posted about this maybe a month and a half ago. So some of you guys may not remember whatsoever. So we see him use more abilities, mind control, all of that. He's more mature, more calm, less rash, I guess you can say. And just him coming in and, with such ease and such maturity and stuff like that. So that's one of my favorite ones within that. There's so many pivotal moments in Return of the Jedi that I like, and I understand people who don't care for the Ewok scenes, battle scenes, and stuff like that. I understand that. I get it, So, I'm not gonna be here like, well, f you because you don't like the Ewok scene. I get it. So, let's see here, and I see a question here. Return of the Jedi was amazing to see in theaters. Did you see it? Yes, that's one I got to. So this is my history. This is my little history here with the OT. So I got to see Empire Strikes Back in the drive-in theater, but before we went, my family had the VHS Star Wars. We watched that first, then we went to the drive-in. And then when Return of the Jedi came out, we did go to the theater. So I do remember that. And I think I did end up seeing Empire Strikes Back a few more times. First time was the drive-in theaters. The second time was in the actual theaters when it's still out. So I kind of got both, but I always talk about the first time I seen it, and that was at the drive-in theaters. So, VHS. Now I know the kids these days view my childhood the same way I viewed my parents' childhood whenever I watched old Hanna-Barbera cartoons on Boomerang. Oh my God. And the evolution of like media, VHS, you had, and then you can go into the 8 tracks and stuff like that. Like the evolution. Now we're digital. We're all digital. Everything is accessible on any kind of or on a platform, or you can watch it on YouTube or whatever. If you want to pay extra money, I say get copies of these classics on your Blu-ray or DVD or whatever, and save them. You never know when something's going to be changed or altered, and so always have the originals with you. Soul Assassin says, I mean, who didn't like seeing the Ewoks getting stomped by the ATSTs? Oh my goodness. I saw the 40th anniversary in theaters. Okay. And then it's funny, I love the OT movies. However, the EU books and games have stuck with me even more. Couture, Jedi Knight, Zahn, Alston, Stackpole, Reeves, and Travis. Yeah, I'm going through this once again. I didn't finish book 2. Well, I read these before, but I was doing some research when the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series were coming out. And so I was rereading, so I have to finish book 2. But if you really want to know what happens, like when Obi-Wan Kenobi goes out on a mission where he has to leave Luke, and the true story of that, which happened close to when he left in exile to hide, this is the story to go to. There's a whole plot why. He communes with Qui-Gon about that. And, I mean, a phenomenal story here. And then Leia does get a Jedi that protects her as well. And it's in the series. So I recommend this. Buy physical, not digital. Correct. Yeah. And so next week, tomorrow will begin George Lucas PT and EU talk for our Star Wars Appreciation month here. And so I'm super excited about that. So Soul Assassin, all those who are part of the Twitter community that I have, go ahead and start sharing your favorite quotes from George, or your favorite development aspects that, of George that you know of. Maybe there's something that I may not know of or have seen, or someone else that really this can expand and open doors about George's brilliance on his filmmaking, even if it's not Star Wars. But something of George, like his brilliance with the cinema of George. Yeah. So, but feel free to share any of those aspects in our Twitter community. If you haven't joined it, find me on Twitter. Come into the community page. Don't wait for me to post anything. Please share something for yourself. Share with the community, because that's what it's about. That's the whole purpose. Share a story, favorite character, favorite ship, what have you. Keep the conversation going. Yeah, join. Yeah, so there you go. So keep the conversation going. I try to share once in a while links where you can find EU books that don't have the Legends label. And Tehillium's here. Hello. So those are coming in. What is your favorite score from John Williams within the Star Wars original 6 movies? Let me know. Let me know. So I had my hair all curled up, but it doesn't hold a curl very long. So I was like, oh, I'm going to jazz myself up and wear a nice t-shirt because my cosplay costume is not here. And it didn't come in. And so here I am in now my hair is getting flat. So with that being said, we are going to go into cringe factor. So Soul Assassin knows what the cringe factor that I'm going to share. And so I'm going to surprise you guys with this because I think that this is a topic to talk about with the anniversary of Star Wars, I guess you can say. And I think it's very, very interesting indeed. So before we get started, let's go ahead and watch this little clip.
Are you sure? So be it.
It's defined differently by anyone you ask. Yet it defines who you are. It takes guts,
So
grit,
uncivilized.
and a whole lot of work. With every heartbeat and every heartbreak, every stepping stone and every milestone, for all the moments.
That wasn't supposed to happen. There we go. All right. So that little thing interrupted my little segue. I'm playing it again.
So uncivilized.
What the fuck is this? Exactly. What the fuck is this? This is cringe factor portion. And I have been telling you guys, Yoda has been going through the ringer with Disney Star Wars within their lore, making him a true failure in every aspect. And then we have writers of these cringy little journalists. I'm saying that very loosely because they're not, but these opinion pages of pop culture, following suit. And there is truth to this. As I said, whatever direction Disney is taking these characters, these writers for these sites are following suit with how they're viewing. And this is changing people's perspective of these characters, which is not the intention of George Lucas. So they're cringe, clickbait, whatever you want to call them, but there's truth to them because you can go and see the direction of how Disney Lucasfilm is having people perceive George Lucas era of Star Wars. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a look at this article. 10 times Yoda was completely wrong in Star Wars. There's a couple of them that you're really going to be like, what the hell is going on here? Maybe all of them. Who knows? Who knows? We'll make sense of this. I'll go through every single one. We'll break it down. This will offer opportunities of talking about the lore, what the lore really means, and what the lore really is regarding these points of, and we can debunk these and take a look, so we'll do that. And then, well, OG, you do make the place look nice. Well, thank you so much. I try. Was that Luke? We'll get to that. Jim says, I've seen this before. It's cool no matter how many times I see it. Yeah, that Dark Empire one. Yeah. That one with Dark Empire, that fan made is Dark Empire, but I think there's a scene in here with Luke. Darth Phantom says, is this from Screen Rant? Yes, it is. They make every Jedi look worse than they were. It makes me sad. They want to make the PT Jedi look like they're total failures, like they weren't victims to the Sith, like the Sith. And this makes the Sith look bad because when you get into the original lore, when you get behind the rule of two and the Sith hiding for 1,000 years, basically what they say, atoning, studying the Jedi, and putting themselves in pivotal spots within the galaxy. Now that kind of takes away their brilliance, because they say your heroes are only as good as your villains. So the more they make the Jedi look bad, the more the villains follow suit. There's it waters everything down. Yeah, and this, like I said, this is the direction. Like when you see Screen Rat and CBR or CB or comic book review, CBR, and you're like, oh well, hell, this is just clickbait. There is truth to some of these, and these writers will also share sources to their theories. Like, oh well, this comic from Darth Vader comic, this is why blah blah blah, this is happening. They are sharing the direction Disney's going with the franchise. They don't have to remake the OT, the PT, nothing like that. All they got to do is just change your perspective through their EU, through the material that surrounds it. And once they do that and people go and read it and stuff, their perspective of the movies change. So there's one way a cat can be skinned, I guess you can say. Doesn't have to be a total remake of the movies. And so I'm making you guys aware of this, and I'm going to continue to do this with Cringe Factor because I want you to stay on top of this. I want you to stay keen to what's really going on. Yeah, they can't really do an adaptation of Heir to the Empire because all the characters that are being aligned for that show, Ahsoka, and then Filoni's movie, are not in Heir to the Empire. So there's going to be similar themes, maybe, but the outcome, it's not an adaptation. It's a bastardization. And if they do actually call Filoni's movie Heir to the Empire, it's just stealing the name like they did Tales of the Jedi. Same thing there. Same thing there. And Raging Rhino's in the house. I left, and so I'm going to go back and catch the replay on the spot where I left off at. Great casual rage, and see who wins your shill of the week. I wasn't able to participate in that voting. And then Soul Assassin here. Get a cigarette ready at Raging Rhino. It's a crazy article. Yes, I shared it with Soul Assassin. Jim the Despot says, I speak with a screen rap writer every month. He mentions how toxic the workplace is. Interesting. You're gonna have to tell me more about that. I would love to hear more. Like, pick his brain. Let me know, Jim. And I just wouldn't want to know more. Now I'm curious. So DM me or something like that, and let's talk. And let's see here. Basically, making now heroes look like villains and the villains look like heroes. Shake my head. Even mean. Oh yeah, hello, Sith Assassin Trailer. You are just in time for Cringe Factor. Just in time. But though you guys are coming in, please share with me what is your favorite John Williams score for the 6 original movies, Star Wars movies. Let me know. I thought I'd give some attention to John Williams, and I think I will continue that this coming week. Just a little bit more attention to his brilliance towards the movies and how it set the tone for all of us when we watch him. Let's see here. Yeah, subscribe to Raging Rhino. Screen Trash. Okay, so let's get into this. I'm going to go ahead and take a look here, get to the screen here. So this is by Alex Bate, B-A-T-E, and this is, and I went through these. I didn't read through all of them yet, so I have an idea what I'm getting myself into. So some of this you might have more genuine remarks because I haven't read through some of the little underlining description on why. So you guys are going to get it. You guys are going to hear it. And so if you guys need to, go ahead and grab a drink grab a cigarette. Like Soul Assassin said, grab your favorite bourbon, your drink, or whatever that you have if you're going to do any kind of nightcap or anything like that. And I'll give you guys a few seconds here. I'll put on a little commercial here. Grab your drink, get comfortable for this. We're going to probably go a little over 2 hours, which is fine. I figured, I would spend a little bit more time with you guys since it's the evening time. So we'll also continue to talk more about the OT and PT after we're done here as well. So go grab your drink, get comfortable, grab your cigarette. Let's do this.
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave 1, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
And there we go. So you guys get comfortable for this. Here we go. I know it's evening time out. Know where it's, maybe nighttime for you guys where you're at, or maybe it's morning where you're at, depending on what part of the world you're here. Thank you for tuning in, and please press that like button. If you're catching the replay, let me know you're here. Leave a comment. You guys are amazing. So 10 times Yoda was completely wrong in Star Wars. Yoda might be the oldest and wisest of the Jedi, but he makes a lot of mistakes over his long life. Well, everybody makes mistakes in their lives. So let's see what this guy has to say. Here's a list of top 10 biggest blunders. All right. I'm not going to get into this little scene here. We're just going to go
that matter
over there.
Will be there.
And this son of a bitch. There we go. Nope. Go back. Ugh. There we go. Yoda's Jedi. So this is number 10. I feel like I have to have one of those little sound bites. Number 10. Yoda's Jedi Order left no room for change. So here we go, you guys. His order left no room for change. So let's see what this guy, Alex, has to say. In Yoda's own words, his fierce commitment to the old ways, and that's in quotes, old ways, left the order vulnerable when it came to changing times. Matt Stover, so yeah, he was going into Matt Stover's novelization of Revenge of the Sith, written after the consultation with George Lucas, featured additional lines in which he admits as much. And regarding this open airlock policy, expanded university, him and I did get into the Revenge of the Sith novel. We had a great discussion. I hope that we do part 2 in the future here, because there's so much we missed. Because there's so much to talk about it. That novel, it's not only a movie novel, it's an EU novel. It's amazing. So here we go. So this is, and I believe we might have touched bases on this. These Jedi, I trained to become Jedi who had trained me long centuries ago. But those ancient Jedi of a different time they were. Changed has the galaxy. Changed, the order did not. Because let it change, I did not. So basically he is, in contemplation. He's thinking about Order 66 already happened. He's thinking about everything that happened, the loss of the order, all of that, and what could have been done to prevent this. Now, he's not the only one that's responsible for the order. This was a council's decision, along with his, to train the Jedi as they always have. And they thought they were right about that. And I could see that. But when you sit back and you look at the bigger picture like Yoda is, and this is where his wisdom comes in. He realized that the Sith, well, now he realized they're in hiding. But while they thought they were gone, the Sith were changing, evolving, studying the Jedi, what have you, and played these guys. These guys were totally played by the Sith. You of course, Revenge of the Sith. They were the victims of the Sith rising, and stuff. One of them, the whole galaxy was everybody who was tricked by the Sith, or whatever you want to call it, were the victims, I guess you could say. And so this goes back to this. Yoda left the order with no room for change. There was room for change. He just didn't see it was necessary because they thought that the Sith were gone. They thought the Sith were gone. So I don't know what you guys think about number 10. There is some truth in this. However, you can't fault him for thinking that way because they thought the Sith were gone. And so that's where I'm going to stick with that. They thought the Sith were gone, so they were just going to keep the Jedi training as they were, and all that. And now he sees that change needs to happen, which he did foreshadows, like Luke and Leia bringing the new order into place. So there we have Yoda, and so this is number 10. Number 9. Yoda sent Obi-Wan to kill Anakin, even knowing their history. I'll say it again. Number 9. Yoda sent Obi-Wan to kill Anakin, even knowing their history. Now let's see what he has to say about this. And I'm going to go ahead and look at you guys in the comments to see what you guys have to say here. I'm scrolling up a little bit. Silent says, 2 things can be true. 1, these articles have an agenda to undermine pre-Disney. Star Wars 2, the PT presents a Jedi unflatteringly. And then Travis's books criticize the Jedi for using a cloned slave army. Well, they're being criticized no matter what. So it doesn't, it is what it is. My brother got all 3 of those sets. Let's see here. You're probably talking about the from the commercial. Yoda's theme is another highlight. There you go. And then I like both the sail barge one, so you guys are going through that, and then when Luke is about to jump off the plank and the droid army. Cool. Jaina. Yep. Let's see here. Soul Assassin says Kenobi wasn't strong enough to face the Emperor. That's what I was going to get at. Strong enough you are not. Correct. Strong enough you are not. All right, so let's get into that. Although Yoda was always aware of Obi-Wan's close friendship with Anakin, they had a master-apprentice relationship or what have you. They trained together. They did all that. So Obi-Wan understood Anakin, and that's one of the reasons why he was sent. Another is what Soul Assassin said, which I was going to get to the point of that, was he's not strong enough to fight Sidious. He still chose to send his fellow Jedi Master to Mustafar to kill him, in spite of Obi-Wan's insisting that he would not do so. Yoda ignored Obi-Wan's emotional connection and pushed him regardless. Obi-Wan was pretty good at separating the emotional attachment to the person. He didn't have problems with attachment. Now, should he have killed him directly after Anakin was left to burn? Yeah, maybe so. But the error that Obi-Wan made was thinking that he left him there to die. He thought that Anakin was dead already, because he did leave him to die. So it wasn't like, oh, well, I'll see you later. I love you. I'm going to go off now, and just leave him like that, like purposely. He didn't leave him alive purposely. And this is what it sounds like this guy is insinuating here. This was a huge risk on Yoda's part, considering he had to trust Obi-Wan's resolve to follow through on his mission, which he did. Obi-Wan proved unable to kill Anakin, instead leaving him there badly injured. He left him there to die. Things turned out for the best according to the will of the Force, but only because Yoda miscalculated. No, there was no miscalculation by Yoda, because you know what? Yoda didn't kill Sidious either. He didn't even leave him there to die. Whatever. But I will go to number 8. Yoda chose exile over helping the rebellion. Imagine this. Imagine coming to this conclusion, not thinking why Yoda decided to go into hiding. Yoda went into hiding to preserve the Jedi, to stay alive. So when it's time to train Luke and possibly Leia, that they would be there for them. They had basically, they were wanted by the Empire. Yoda probably was the number one on the most wanted list, and of course Obi-Wan. So you would think if they were discovered, this would compromise their whole plan of going into exile and waiting until the time is right. They couldn't go out and help the rebellion. They're helping the rebellion basically is staying in hiding so that they can train later on Luke. So let's see what this guy has to say. Yoda's decision to go into exile and meditate rather than, don't you just love it how they say, oh, in exile and meditate, like, oh, a lot of time, I'm just sitting here meditating my whole life, rather than outright oppose the empire wasn't necessarily a bad one. Okay. Still, the early rebels could have benefited from the intelligence Yoda had collected over his nearly 900 years as a Jedi. Yoda needed to stay hidden. He didn't need the attention because, again, that could have been a result of his death. Even if Yoda stayed under the radar, the rebels were at a huge disadvantage, and there's always spies, all of that going on. It's a war. It would be discovered. Huge disadvantage until Luke's force sensitivity helped destroy the Death Star, and it stands to reason Yoda could have lent them a helping hand. His helping hand was then training Luke, which then helped defeat the Empire. So let me know what you guys think about number 8. Number 7, Yoda initially refused to train Anakin, then changed his mind. So at first he refused to train, and then he changed his mind. So let's see what he has to say with this. When Qui-Gon Jinn initially brought Anakin Skywalker to the Jedi Council in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Yoda insisted he was too old and had too much fear in him. Yoda made that decision in spite of Anakin's potential. Well, I think that was kind of wise in a sense. I mean, in a sense. So let me know what you guys think about that. With the Jedi Grandmaster refusing to make an exception or make exceptions. Oddly, Yoda then chose to honor Qui-Gon's dying wish for Obi-Wan Kenobi to train Anakin instead. Well, the council voted on that, retard. If you haven't watched The Phantom Menace, he even says the council voted and agreed on. He didn't, however, he gives him his blessing. I'm paraphrasing here. Even though Anakin still possessed the same fears. And that's something that, had to be worked through. They were very cautious with him for the most part. It's possible he knew Obi-Wan would leave the Jedi to train Anakin and elected to prevent that happening. So I'm going to see what you guys have to say with a few of these already. Let me see here. And Justin, hey, how are you doing? Howdy, sir. And then Jim says, I'm going to tap out. Have fun, everyone. You have a good night. Virtual Horizons, he couldn't stomach doing the final blow on limbless Anakin. He left them there to die. And I think maybe leaving them die there was a little bit more cruel than actually putting him out of his misery, but that's what I think. Red Hood Winked said he had to hide so the Empire wouldn't think twice about it. Correct. Also, in my head canon, I like to think that Qui-Gon told Yoda while fighting with Sidious that there is hope and go into exile for the later fight in training Luke. Vertical Horizon says Yoda sensed great fear in young Skywalker was skeptical. And then Soul Assassin said, didn't Yoda have a Force vision when he was reflecting Palpatine's Force lightning? I have to go back on that one here. You're probably right. Let me see. All right. Number 6, Yoda's Empire Strikes Back warning, ignore the wheel of the Force. Oh, here we go. This is going to start getting good, you guys. Yoda's Empire Strikes Back warning, ignored the wheel of the Force. So let's get into this. The Empire Strikes Back, the Force gives Luke Skywalker a vision warning of him, or warning him of danger his friends were facing. So basically, the danger of losing his friends. Yoda was right to argue Luke was not ready to face Darth Vader, but he ignored the fact the will of the Force granted him a vision. This fits with this reoccurring bad habit on Yoda's part. Oh, here we go. So we'll get into the visions of the future here. His instance of the future is always in motion meant he tended to disregard warnings from the Force itself. No, that's not what that means. Visions of the futures, the Force is always in motions, meaning one vision is not the true outcome. You don't know which one is. There's always some truth to them, and there are always some falsehoods in them. So if you respond to them, you can cause a lot more harm than damage. And that's what happened with Luke. He acted rash. He took off. Nearly lost his life. They lost Han. And that was the whole lesson for him. And that goes back to Anakin Skywalker as well. The vision of his mom dying, being tortured, or what have you. And then he finally is able to respond to it, to go look for his mom and stuff. Finding her basically being tortured by the Tusken Raiders. And then from there, he loses control of his emotions. He allows himself to go dark and to slaughter the Tuskens. A revenge thing. Which started him on the dark side. And then, of course, then with Padme, he's seen visions of her on the birthing table, on the birthing bed, and then she's crying or screaming or what have you. And that vision fits the vision of her when she's given birth. So with that vision, he's in fear of her losing her in childbirth, right? But in reality, that vision was also sharing that the future of basically her dying out of losing faith or hope or love or whatever, dying from a broken heart, I guess you can say, and from, probably the Force choke or what have you, that he caused. So with him acting on that, he set forth this whole set of events, that led to him going to Mustafar, losing his limbs, all of that. Well, that happened. Yeah, all of that. So, and then her dying. I mean, there's this whole thing. And so acting upon the visions of the future does have some consequences. And that's what this is. Let me see here. It makes me laugh that the shills once told us we hate the sequel tragedy because we didn't understand it, or we were watching it wrong. So were you standing? Well, I do headstands or handstands. I wouldn't say that. So watching it wrong. How in the hell do you watch something wrong? Now they're all completely misunderstanding Lucas's work. Correct. Let's see here. Hasty reactions create the outcome most Jedi fear. Correct. And then, oh gee, hey Alora, hey, how you doing? How are you doing? And Soul Assassin says, didn't Yoda have a Force vision when he was reflecting? Oh, I read that one already. Yeah. So we'll get back to that one here. But let me go back to the next one here. So let me know what you guys think about this in responding to visions of the future. When you get into the Star Wars EU, you have like the visions of the future novelization where Luke does see various outcomes of the visions of the future, you know, that could be happening or that are happening, and that he just chooses to follow the will of the Force, which leads him to Mara and Nirawan or whatever it's called and what have you. But even when you get into the lore and they talk about visions of the future, they always warn that, you know, there's multiple visions, there's multiple outcomes, and you have to be very cautious with what you're gonna, you know, if you're gonna pursue it. And so I'm, you know, so this is very interesting what he says here about ignoring the will of the Force. The will of the Force doesn't exactly give you directives on how to respond or act. It gives you just, like I said, visions of scenarios that could happen. And number 5, Anakin's visions were ignored and belittled. Imagine this. Anakin's visions were ignored and belittled. So Yoda basically belittled Anakin and ignored him. But Anakin wasn't being truthful here. He wasn't being truthful whatsoever when he sought counsel with Yoda. So this is number 5. Let's see what they have to say. This Alex has to say. The same tendency can be seen in Star Wars Revenge of the Sith when Anakin sought Yoda's counsel after being plagued with the prophetic visions of Padme's death. Yoda's only advice was to encourage Anakin to let go of everything he feared to lose. Now, you're insinuating that Anakin was truthful on what he was saying to Yoda. He was hiding truth. He wasn't telling the full truth to Yoda. A rather rote response that primed Anakin to believe the Jedi could not help him. Again, when you're not being truthful, you're not going to get the help you need. You may get some of the same response. Maybe. But the thing is, with attachment in the history of Star Wars, is that you could still have love, and Luke proved this with his new Jedi Order. You can still have love, you can still have families, you can still have marriage, a relationship, but you have to not possess them. And this is what Anakin was doing with Padme. He was possessing her like she was some kind of material thing that he could not lose. And he was untruthful here to Yoda. And so they go on to say, Yoda clearly didn't understand Anakin's emotions, or the potential threat the Chosen One could become. He didn't understand Anakin's emotions or the potential threat the Chosen One could become. Now, this again is making it sound like Yoda knew Anakin's secret about the true vision. But even if he did, it's still the same philosophy of learning to let go, not losing yourself in it, not being attached. You could still grieve, because we've seen that with Luke and Mara Jade. He still grieved for her, but he still did lose himself a little bit. If you're familiar with Legacy of the Force novels, he still lost himself in such a way, and he catches himself. And he's like, you know, when Jason comes in and comes to the funeral, and his gag comes in and tries to arrest Han and Leia and all that. And after the fact, you know, his council, his Jedi, you know, basically tell him, And he's like, and he comes to realization, like snaps back to reality. He's like, because I was lost within myself, I let this all happen. You know, Jason could have easily taken over the order because I left it vulnerable. And then again, he goes back into losing himself a little bit. And then, and it's his son that snaps him out of it in the novel Fury. So very good concepts of what attachment is. So if you want to know what attachment is versus what it isn't, and how you can lose yourself within that concept, then that story arc there in Legacy of the Force is a great way to understand it, especially in Inferno and Fury. So let's see here. Number 4, Yoda never realized the implications of Obi-Wan's go back. Thank you. Let me see here. Visions of the future, which had one of Thrawn's proteges. Yep. And then see here. Anakin didn't like the advice Yoda gave and sought secret physical power to save Padme. Yeah, so he didn't like the fact that attachments, you have to learn to let go of those and honor the person in their death as well. And if you want to compare that to reality, like our reality, there are some cultures that are like, celebrate the death of people because they're just crossing over to the other world or whatever. Yeah, we are human. We're going to mourn. We're going to be completely sad. We're going to be in grief of the loss. There's all those emotions and stuff. But when you're fully attached and you let yourself be consumed by it, that can really do damage to the self, right? And so I think that's what George Lucas was exploring a lot here with the attachment and the possession of someone versus the compassion and allowing self to let go and exist in a relationship that has more freedom and space, I guess you could say. I don't know, I'm just trying to come to a better aspect of that, explanation of that, or what have you. So yeah. And then Tehillim says, the thing which plays a big part in the destruction of both Sith and Jedi was secrets. Correct. Jackson says, you have to be aware of yourself, others, your job, and your priorities and responsibilities between each. Red Hoodwink says, making Yoda look like the bad guy because Anakin didn't want to tell the whole truth to Yoda in fear of being kicked out of the Jedi Order. And that's another thing too, is the possibility of being kicked out as well. And that's one of the things that the Jedi had to correct that Luke did correct. So yeah. And let's see here, Star Wars Fury audiobook. There you go. And then right here, Legacy of the Force book series. So there you go. And then Vertical says, energy never does. It evolves and transforms. So is the Force. So you mean never dies? Is that what you meant? Yeah, there you go. Don't you just love typing? That always gets me. So let's see here. Number 3. Yoda didn't give Anakin emotional support. Let me see here. Oh no, I have to do the number 4. Sorry. It's nighttime. I'm kind of sleepy. So forgive me on that, But anyways, number 4, Yoda never realized the implications of Obi-Wan's missing planet. So that's Kamino. In Star Wars Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan came to Yoda for guidance after discovering a planet that had been deleted from the Jedi archives. Yoda is ludicrously casual in his response, even though the discussion implies only a fellow Jedi would have been able to delete. Okay, so he came to him to search. They brought it up in the archives. Well, no, I take that back because he looked for it. He looked for it in the library. So he went to put in the system, the galaxy, basically the galaxy map, I guess you can say, and then and just discovered it was gone there too. But because of that, this is what they have to say. And I'm going to read this back again. Yoda is ludicrously casual in his response, even though the discussion implies only a fellow Jedi would have been able to delete such an important piece of information. Had Yoda acted with a more seriousness, the Jedi might have been a little better prepared before the Battle of Geonosis. Not really, because this person's implying that they know it was Dooku, and then that maybe they could stop him. I don't know what he's leading to with this. Even if he's like, okay, damn it, I'm gonna go investigate right now, we get the bottom of this. Does this mean that it was gonna prevent the Battle of Geonosis? Probably not. Line with finding Jango, following him over to Geonosis and what have you. So I don't think that would have changed much. And this is just a stupid nothing burger here as well. So this is something that is not, Yoda didn't do nothing wrong here. Even if he would have acted in a more serious nature, he still sent Obi-Wan to investigate, and that's what he would have done anyways. So there was seriousness going on there. But he was with the younglings as well. But there was seriousness with what's going on. Obi-Wan discovered stuff, the clones. He ended up getting kidnapped eventually, all that. He kidnapped, trapped, or whatever you want to call it. Kidnapped. Yeah, so this is this right here. So number 4, the missing planet. Yoda was acted wrong on that as well. Number 3, Yoda didn't give Anakin the emotional support he needed. So there we go again. So we went from Yoda. Number 5, Anakin visions were ignored and belittled, to now this for number 3, Yoda didn't give Anakin the emotional support he needed. Looks like he's gonna try to like chop his head off right here. Look at that look on Yoda's face right here. And then Anakin right here. That's wrong. That's so friggin' wrong. All right, Anakin was always going to be an unusual case for the Jedi. Well, of course, he's the chosen one. Not only was he tremendously powerful, he was also almost a decade older than most younglings when they are brought to the Jedi Temple. Yes, we know that. Still, Anakin was expected to behave like all other Jedi despite his different childhood. Well, that's expected. There's mannerism that you have to follow when you're in an institute to train, right? There's ways you have to act. Just because he's older than some doesn't mean that he can have authority over them or anything like that, because he has to earn his place. That's why he never became master, because he wasn't mature enough. Yeah, he may have been like strong in the Force, stronger than most, but that doesn't indicate a master. You also have to have clear, concise, rational thoughts and maturity about you. We know Anakin didn't have that. We've seen that Revenge of the Sith. All right, Yoda refused to modify his instructions. Why does he have to modify for Anakin? Okay, so Yoda refused to modify his instruction or attitude despite personality. He responded to Anakin's personality the way he needed to. This goes into today's climate of like, you gotta like have a safe space for people who are acting or feel this way and stuff, and you gotta approach people in a certain way because their skin color or their attitudes or their mental whatever, they're gonna be too sensitive, so you need to tread and walk on eggshells. No. Yoda is the elder. Yoda is the person one of the people that are in charge, one of the main trainers, whether Yoda has been involved with almost everybody's training there in the temple in some way, shape, or form. He can respect Anakin for his knowledge and stuff like that, but he doesn't have to modify or change his attitude for Anakin's personality. Had Anakin been given the chance to critically examine his emotions with the direction of a trusted teacher like Yoda, he might not have fallen to Palpatine's grasp so easily. So basically, had Anakin been given the chance to critically examine his emotions with the direction of a trusted teacher like Yoda, he might not have fallen into Palpatine's grasp. Then you have to think about, too, Clone Wars. And then, his relationship with Obi-Wan before the Clone Wars. And it's not Yoda's fault for Anakin's behavior. Let me see what you guys have to say. The picture invokes the Last Jedi PTSD of Jake Skywalker about to cut down his nephew. Wow. That picture almost looks like the scene of The Last Jedi when Luke went to destroy Kylo. Whoa. Hi there, diddly squats. How you doing? That image is creepy. Yep. Yoda was teaching younglings when Obi-Wan came to him with the problem and wanted them to help Kenobi figure out how they were deleted. Yeah, this was like a learning opportunity for the younglings, right? Vertical Horizon says Yoda was busy teaching students while Obi-Wan visited, so I think Yoda was like yourself, do it, Obi-Wan. I like how you add that. And then I got frozen again. Sorry about that. How does the archive computer know who's a Jedi, right? Hey, Christopher Barker. Hey, OG, what on the cringe factor here? This is the 10 things Yoda has done wrong, I guess you can say. Frozen again. Sorry, you guys. You could tell Anakin has some mental illness, PTSD, just like people in real life. He never really got help needed. PTSD from what, though? I mean, the Clone Wars? And is PTSD something really in Star Wars? Because everybody says, oh, well, Luke had PTSD. That's why he acted like he did in The Last Jedi. But then, they Jedi are trained to overcome emotions and all that. So when you look at the aspects of Jedi and PTSD, is that the truth? Is there PTSD really in Star Wars? Let me go down here. And let's see here. Framing Yoda as a bad teacher, this is. Yes, it is. And again, Anakin did not tell Yoda the whole truth, so Yoda couldn't give him the answer he needed. Correct. Framing Yoda as a bad teacher. I already read that one. Okay. First, Palpatine followed Anakin as soon as he entered the temple, manipulating him from the very beginning. Second, Anakin's night investiture was unorthodox already, so some changes were made. Shut up about PTSD, you trolls. Yeah, trolls. Jackson says, just drop everything with several thousand Jedi and hundreds of apprentices and younglings to give overt favoritism and exceptions to one. Yeah, total modern clown thought pattern. And then Native Ronan says, he was a slave as a kid. He left his mom behind as a kid and came back to find his mom tortured and died in his arms. Yeah, but that's the thing, so he's got the training to overcome all this and stuff like that. He's the one that chose not to be truthful and not to be truthful about a lot of things. He wanted his cake and eat it too. Like I said, training, they learn to control their emotions and stuff like that. As like I said before, they train to control the emotions, and they do have ways to seek counsel. He's the one that decided to lie and all that stuff. So, so I don't think there's PTSD in Star Wars. He was manipulated, and that's what's part of a lot of this is he was manipulated by Palpatine. An agent of Palpatine, the writer of this article is. All right, so we're getting down to the last ones here. So let's see. Number 2, Yoda ignored the Force's warnings about Order 66. So here we go. He ignored. So again, this is a fault of Yoda's. And I went back to watch the Clone Wars scene about this vision that he got. That's in the Clone Wars. And it goes back to visions of the future, and how there could be truth and some truth to it, but it's always ever changing. And what you see can be blurred or whatever, not the full truth or whatever. And that's what kind of depicted. I'm actually sticking up for the Clone Wars for this scene here in a little bit, because there's some parts of it I'm like, what the hell? But in that Clone Wars scene, episode 1, was it episode? No. It's sharing the same face. So basically, in that scene with Yoda, and he's on Dagobah, he goes into the cave, which then, it contradicts that cave scene regarding when George Cardass was kidnapped by Dark Jedis, if you guys know that arc. But I won't get into that right now. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more research, because I was thinking about talking about it further in an upcoming CAF chat or a video. But that episode, sharing the same face, when he's given that vision, when he sees that vision, there's a lot of things that are clouded, not clear. And visions of the future, or visions from the Force, or visions in general, don't specifically give you dates, and they're not always true, or there's like some truth to it and there's some not. And so the way he acted on that, I guess you can say, if you're going to go with Clone Wars, is that he acted like any Jedi would, because he didn't know what was going to happen. Plus, Qui-Gon was there talking with him afterwards. He didn't manifest, but his voice did, of course. And they had to talk about, again, how visions of the future play out, and that all this darkness is happening right now. However, keep doing what you're doing. That there's hope in the future. So Yoda may have been sensitive to the Force, but he tended to overlook its warnings. This can be seen in sharing the same face and an adaptation of the Clone Wars Season 1, Episode 1, Ambush. In a telling scene in which Yoda received a vision of Order 66. Incredibly, Yoda elected to ignore even this. No, he didn't. He was guided by Qui-Gon, telling him that he's still on the right path despite this darkness coming in. That darkness is going to come in, but there's hope in the future, and that he's one of the few chosen to take the path of the Force ghost. I shared this clip on Twitter. I was going to play it tonight, but I decided not to. Despite the fact the vision even pinpointed the clone troopers, had Yoda responded to the Force warnings, there was no indication that this was the contingency order 66 was being enacted. Like I said, it doesn't, not everything is revealed, and not everything is, it's like just one outcome of the future. That's what, the visions of the future, just one outcome. And so Order 66 would have been exposed long before Palpatine was ready to give the command. And he didn't even know about Palpatine. So how could he find out the source? He didn't know Palpatine was Sidious. He didn't know who Sidious was or how to find him. He was still, the Sith were still in the shadows, I guess you can say. They're still trying to figure out more about Dooku and all that. So the Sith were in the shadows. The Sith were in the shadows. So I'm going to see what you guys have to say about this. Can you imagine how badly they'll treat Yoda in the Acolyte show if they include him? Ugh, I can't think it takes place in the High Republic era. Yeah, that's Disney lore. It's not the true canon. Red Hoodwink says, wait, disregard my last comic. I'm dumb. Okay, well, I'm not gonna. I'm curious now. All right, hit the like button, you guys. Yeah. Yep. So let's go on. We're going to number one. And let's see here. So grab your drinks, everyone. Number one, Yoda failed to realize Palpatine was a Sith Lord. Oh, he looks really tall here compared to Palpatine. So imagine this. Yoda failed to realize Palpatine was the Sith Lord. Now, where in the world would there be information or any indication that would lead Yoda to this conclusion? When Palpatine had himself disguised so well, he was also using dark force abilities to cloud the Jedi. So how would he know? Hell, not like even the people who were in front of him all the time in the Senate didn't know. How would Yoda know? Yoda's biggest mistake in Star Wars saga was, of course, the fact he completely missed the sign of Palpatine's treachery. Okay, what were the signs? Although this was probably in part because of Palpatine's own power in the Force, disguising himself, there were still so many signs. Notably, the fact that Palpatine displayed Sith relics in his office. Little wonder Darth Sidious became increasingly bold. Someone that's gathering artifacts from the past, like the one mural that's up on the wall. What's it called again? The one of the Sith Jedi Wars, and I forget the name of it now. But doesn't mean that because someone collects relics that they are Sith. Even using the dark side of the Force on grounds of the Jedi Temple in E.K. Johnson's Queen Shadow. Oh, okay, so this is going back to the Disney lore. So this is where they get it wrong in so many directions, because nowhere should there be any indication of hints towards Yoda and Palpatine using the Force at the Jedi Temple at that, because then it causes so many questions that leads to plot holes when it comes to the movies. So here you go. They didn't, so they gave us a brief description that Darth Sidious became increasingly bold, even using the dark side of the Force on the grounds of the Jedi Temple. Now, why would Darth Sidious go to the temple when he's trying to stay hidden? And this, like I said, brings up many questions. And if it was Darth Sidious, the way he's cloaked and everything, you don't know he's Palpatine because of how he looks, because he's cloaked, all of that. And so this is number one. Because number one, Yoda failed to realize Palpatine was a Sith Lord. That number one, which is why he's such a failure. Why he's such a failure. Come on. 10 times Yoda was completely wrong in Star Wars. So he was wrong. He was wrong, you guys. Because he failed to see, with all the hints, I guess you can say, that Sidious was Palpatine, Palpatine was Sidious. So all of these are leading to the downfall of the Jedi, and it's all Yoda's fault because he's the one that detects and coddle those who need the coddling, like Anakin, all of that, supposed to know exactly who Palpatine is. all of that. I don't know. It's crazy how people can come up with these little articles here and such ludicrous accusations for these characters without really studying and getting into the lore to really digest in their research all the material, all the source, to know that these conclusions are wrong, completely wrong. I'm not saying that Yoda's infallible, because he does have his moments and he does recite those moments in Revenge of the Sith, which is number 10 in this. Failing to realize that the Jedi were hiding, and over their time in 1,000 years, they evolved. But because a Jedi believed the Sith were gone, why would they train, to defeat the Sith, really, other than, training for the Sith and thinking and talking about Sith, I have Darth Talon behind me, but training for the Sith to reappear because they didn't know they were gone. I mean, they didn't know that they were alive still. And then Red Hood Wing says, if collecting artifacts makes you a Sith, wouldn't Lutheran be a Sith Lord if we're going to use that logic correct? Vertical Horizon says, Yoda isn't omniscient. Omniscient, yeah. He is not. And then Soul Assassin, Palpatine did take a young Maul to the Jedi Temple using the Force to cover their darkness but stayed away from the Jedi field or filed locations. Which book was that? That was Darth Plagueis, wasn't it? Let me see. Vertical Horizon. And then, so Palpatine, yeah, but that doesn't mean he used the Force to cover his darkness, which he's been using all the time. Ow, ow, ow. No. Ow, ow, ow. You can't attack the hair. Stop. Okay. Sidious was attacking my hair. Not Sidious. Darth. I am so tired, you guys. Darth Toby was attacking my hair. Holy crap, you guys. So you're getting OG in the raw right now. I'm tired. All right. So yeah. So I understand that one. So bruh, using Queen Shadow and TCW is not fair. They were both written to depict the Jedi negatively. Yes, I agree with you on that. Making them idiotic, or Queen's QS making them idiotic, and TCW making them moronic just to elevate Ahsoka and also war criminals. I hate that they want all their characters to be obvious. I can't even think or whatever today. Let me take a sip. Omniscient. Obviously, you want the viewer to know the person is bad, but the characters themselves don't. It makes for a poor storytelling. Okay, yep. Attack of the Sith. Yes. Well, I'll tell you something funny. So I was getting ready for the show, and I'm wearing leggings today. So I'm wearing leggings. I'm wearing this top. I'm wearing yoga leggings because they're just comfortable to sit in and stuff. And so I'm doing my hair. I'm curling my hair. Toby walks up behind me, and all of a sudden, on both top of my cheeks, my butt, my glutes, I feel claws. He holds on, hangs from my butt while I'm cleaning my hair. That was the worst pain ever. So there you go. You guys got to laugh. So he attacked me. He basically gripped my butt with his claws and hung there. So that was not pleasant whatsoever. Not pleasant whatsoever. What that your cat touching your hair? Yeah, he was up there playing with my hair. Soul Assassin, speaking of darkness, Darth Toby emerges from the darkness. He does. Let's see. Darth Toby used Force Lightning on OG's hair. Attack of the Hiss. Don't be a Toby. Was that? Yeah. So that's what happened today. So just a little bit of Darth Toby action here. He attacked me from behind when I was curling my hair. I'm thinking he was trying to either climb up or grab my hair because my hair is long, stringy. He enjoys playing. He's still a little guy. Yeah. So right here, this is another instance that I've been talking about for a long time of turning Yoda into this character that basically should have known everything, should have prevented Order 66, should have saved the Order, should consider like everybody's feelings. I don't know. But in the long run, they're turning Yoda into the biggest failure ever in Star Wars. Who would have known Palpatine was a Sith? Palpatine is probably a cat guy. Yeah. So with this, you guys, I wanted to talk more about like Yoda when it came to Return of the Jedi before we close out. So we've been here 9, 10, 10, 11. So we're coming on 2 hours. I told you we're going to go over past 2 hours tonight because I really wanted to still talk more about the lore. I knew this would help break down some of the lore to correct some misconceptions that this fool Alex has written. And that's what I love about reading some of these cringe factor type of articles is that we really get to sit down and talk the truth about what is really going on in the lore and what George and Lucasfilm during his time intended for the lore, intended for these characters, and how wrong these authors and even Disney Lucasfilm, when they use them for their source, for their conclusion, has made against Star Wars in general. And so Yoda in Return of the Jedi, we know that Luke, after Luke did go and after they rescued Han and they left Tatooine and all that, he went to go back to finish his training. We know that Luke still continued to train, so there was really no pause in training. Many people think that Luke only got training and only trains when he was with his masters, and that's not true. And I'm going back to Shadows of the Empire because that's a perfect little segue between the movies. We know that Luke got a training journal from Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then also the Obi-Wan Kenobi book that I have back here, I should have grabbed it, but also gives, it's also a journal to Luke on some histories that happened during the Clone Wars and happened during, Obi-Wan's life. Of course, he didn't reveal a whole lot of things, but he also got a training journal where he constructed his new lightsaber. But when he goes back to his master Yoda to finish his training, we know Yoda's at the end of his life. He's ready to leave. He's ready to transcend into the Force, basically. And I hope I don't freeze again. Don't freeze again. Don't freeze again. My little warning came up. I hate you. There we go. It's back. So hopefully I didn't freeze. So Yoda's like, you don't need no training, kind of deal. And then, so Luke is like, well, I am a Jedi now. And he's like, not yet. You still have to face Vader. And then there's that part where he goes from, Last of the Jedi, you'll be correct. And he goes from that. Then as Yoda's dying, they talk more about Leia, who she is to him, all of this stuff, and who Darth Vader is and stuff. They get into that conversation. There's a lot of things revealed. And it's kind of sad and heartbreaking that, they chose to restrain from giving Luke a lot of the truth and only gave him half truths because they were so afraid that Luke was going to be unfit or go dark if they told him, during his training. And Luke proved him wrong, obviously, because Luke learned the hard way in Empire Strikes Back on who his father is, right? But, the truth was fully revealed to him and stuff like that. But my point I'm getting to is that when Yoda was dying and ready to transit into the Force as a Force ghost, he then tells, Luke, well, when I'm gone, the last of the Jedi you will be. And so it goes into the question, and I've been on this debate. So what do you think that means? Because before he said that, he said, you're not a Jedi yet, you have to face Vader. We know, if you know the trials that Jedi take before they become a knight, that's one of the things that's one of the trials, I guess you can say. But then he says, after I'm dead, you're the last of the Jedi. So do you think that's a conflict? Or are you just thinking that, even though the word Padawan wasn't stated, that he's still a Padawan and Padawans are still Jedi? Or do you think that he's still seen Luke as a Jedi, but he still had one more thing he had to accomplish, and that is free the galaxy from tyranny, basically destroying, Vader and Palpatine, I guess you can say. So I just want to know what you guys think about that, because there's always that back and forth with, especially when Filoni was saying Luke wasn't a Jedi. If you guys remember that a while back, a couple months back, where maybe a few months back, where Filoni was talking about how Luke was never became a Jedi kind of deal. And then so this little topic came up. So I want to know what you guys feel about that and their interaction of, when I'm gone, the last of the Jedi you will be, versus moments before that, he was like, you're not a Jedi yet, you still have to face Vader. And I'm paraphrasing. So let me know what you guys have to think about that. With me, because we go back in the beginning of Return of the Jedi, and everybody sees Luke as a Jedi. And he's presented as a Jedi. And, even, Jabba sees him as a Jedi, but laughs at that. And he calls himself a Jedi. Not Jabba, but Luke does. And then, Chewie calls him a Jedi. And, Han kind of smirks about that, like, oh, everybody's going through delusion of grandeur kind of, talk. So what do you think that means to you? Do you think that he was already a Jedi, or do you think he was making his way, and once he threw the lightsaber down and stood against Sidious that way is when he became a Jedi? Because Vader wasn't defeated, really. He wasn't killed or anything. So what do you guys think? Nothing's going on in the chat right now, so once it's up there. But with that scene, I really like that scene with him and Yoda before he returns. But after he leaves and he gets back to the home base, home one, and they're planning their attack of the Death Star 2, their surprise attack. And they're planning on who's going to go with what mission and who's going to have what mission and stuff. And just when Luke comes in and he's like, I'm in, kind of deal, and he hugs Leia and stuff like that, we already know as an audience what's going on, that, Luke knows that, that Leia is his sister. And she's like, and then she's asking Luke, like, what? And he's like, I'll tell you later. So that's one of the moments. I wouldn't say it's one of the moments I liked, but it's one of the endearing moments of, slowly the truth is coming out, and it's lending to them as more of a bond as siblings more than anything else. So I do see I have a response here. I see Luke as a Jedi Knight level, even if he didn't officially go through. His training was more unorthodox. Yeah, it was very unorthodox than Anakin's, and even those of the PT era, and saw which values to adopt into the new Jedi Order. Okay. And if you want to add more to it, like Vertical Horizon did, on how he became the founder of the new Jedi Order and added, and corrected the wrongs, I guess you could say, of stagnant stuff that needed to be corrected in the Order, let me know. Just put that in your conclusion. Red Hoodwink says, I always thought he said that because Luke was still following the old Jedi ways to a degree, seeing as Obi-Wan and Yoda was training him. He basically, when Yoda and Obi-Wan trained them at this point, they had stepped away from the old ways, because if they didn't, he wouldn't be involved with his sister and with his friends and all of that because of attachment. So there's things that already they kind of stepped away from. It was very unorthodox, just like Vertical Horizon said. And then Vertical Horizon says Luke was a poster child for the rebellion like his father before him for the Clone Wars. Correct. And then, how did you feel? So I'm going to have one more question and then we're going to start wrapping up here. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Sorry that I wasn't able to present myself in cosplay. I was so excited for that. So stay tuned. I may do this before this month is up. So stay tuned for that. So the question is, when you first see Luke deflect the blaster bolts when they're on Endor, what did you think about that? Because we've seen him mature. We've seen how like he was advanced more when he went into Jabba the Hutt's temple, I guess you can say. And once they're on Endor, we got to see a little bit more on control Luke had. And he, they were on the speeders, and of course he was off by then, and he was deflecting the blaster bolts with his lightsaber. So what do you guys think about that? There, like I said, there's so many little small pivotal points in each of the movies that you could see the growth of not only Luke but Han and Leia. And I guess I'm gonna have a couple more questions here because this, like I said, I can sit here and dissect Revenge or Return of the Jedi a lot. So what do you guys think about that? And another thing, what do you think about Han Solo's arc? Once we see him in Return of the Jedi, he's more loyal, and we see Leia and Luke rescue him and stuff like that, but he's more loyal. He does step up for the rebellion in their mission. And Leia then was so impressed that she's like, I'll join you. I'll go on this mission with you, and stuff like that. So what did you think about Han Solo once you've seen him during that point? We see, again, each one of them had their own little versions of hero's journey. And I think it was quite phenomenal to see this growth. Let's see here. I wouldn't say corrected, but more so adopted more of a loving method, not full attachments. And then Diddley Squat says, it's a bit trickery to answer. It can be argued that he was the last Jedi in the sense that he was the only one left trained in their ways, but he wasn't. Who is that underneath? Hey, Toby. He's underneath my feet. But wasn't a Jedi yet because he had to finish the trials. Okay. And then Vertical Horizon says it was a culmination of his training and showed us that Luke had matured as a warrior and a person. Yeah. So again, phenomenal writing from George and his other writers with Return of the Jedi when it comes to the arcs of these characters and the maturity that we see of them. And it's like 11 something here, 11, 17. I might even put it on just to watch as I settle down for the night. But when we get at the end, my last question, and I probably know this from you guys already. I probably can guess what you guys would say. But what's your favorite scene at the ending of Return of the Jedi? So do you like the Yub Nub ending with the Sebastian Stan Anakin? Or do you like the newer version? Hey, Matt Wilkins, OG After Hours. Yes, and we're getting ready to close here. We're getting ready to close out. But so what's your favorite ending of Return of the Jedi? The Yub Nub original one or the special editions? Yeah. The Yub Nub one, the Yub Nub ending. So I'm gonna let you guys answer those questions here. Let's see here, and I'm gonna play one more little small commercial, and we'll go a little bit longer. But like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and start, winding down here. So
Never. I'll never turn to the dark side. You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
So be it, Jedi.
there we go. I'll take this guy out of here. Yeah. So, what's your favorite ending for Return of the Jedi? And what do you think about Han Solo's arc? And then maybe you can add Leia's too. Like I said, by the time we get to Return of the Jedi, we see a lot of growth, maturity in all of them, and them coming to their full maturity in their character arc. So let's see here. And so again, we're coming up on the last week of Star Wars Appreciation Month, week 4, May 26th to the 31st. George Lucas era, PT, and Expanded Universe will be the topic for the last of the week. So we'll get to talk more about, the brilliance of George in creating such a phenomenal lore that, expanded into the Expanded Universe with the novels and the games and such. And we can't forget about the PT, because it does lend to a lot of the lore, especially when you get into the Expanded Universe, and the involvement George had with some of the authors in writing some of the novels that were sequels or prequels to the movies, or even just surrounded the movies that weren't. And so, I want to get more into that. So stay tuned for that. And like I said, I might do a special live stream, but I do want to do a live stream and invite a few people on with guests and stuff to further talk about Star Wars in general. And, whether it's the, EU, PT, OT, all of that. And just having a nerdy, fun discussion with a group of people, whether you're a movie fan versus an EU fan or somewhere in between. I think that would be phenomenal. That would be a wonderful discussion to have with a group of people. I don't like a bunch of people, but just enough to carry on a wonderful conversation in regards to Star Wars Appreciation Month for the channel. So let me see what you guys have to say. Here, let's see here. Oh, this cat is playing with my shoestrings. Ow! Okay, go on, cat. Oh, I'm getting attacked by the feet now. Holy crap. Toby, stop it. Let's see here. Red Hood Wink says, I can't say because I've never seen the original edit of the O.G.Starwars. Oh my God, you're missing out. It's so interesting. Like, there's a difference. Planets that were shared in the PT and all this other stuff, and some, and all that, just tying everything in. But just seeing the original cut, I think that, if you can find them or someone has them to watch it, I think that'd be worth for you to see. Darth Phantom says in 1997 special edition ending that has the victory celebration music, but kept Sebastian Shaw, I call him Stan, I don't know why, as Anakin Force Ghost, and doesn't have the Gungans, and is the best ending of Return of the Jedi. Let's see here. Deflecting bolts shows he was progressing in power, like with the PT. Anakin could counter Dooku's lightning. Obi could absorb them with his lightsaber. And let's see here. Windu could both absorb and deflect them with the lightsaber, but Yoda could do it with help. Or without help. There we go. Yeah. Yub-Nub, of course. And such a good scene where we see Palpatine gloating and happy, then go full Sith serious. So be it, Jedi. Yes. And let's see here. I'm still all about the Yub-Nub ending, but I do like the extra scenes in Victory Celebration, but not the music. Okay. And then check out my community, you guys. Again, this last week here, George Lucas, PT, and Expanded Universe is going to be the topics. So you guys stay tuned for that. Follow me in my community page there and all of that. So thank you guys. I love having this Cantina night chat with you guys. Very fun, different atmosphere, I guess you can say. So if, for instances, I have to cancel calf chat, I think I'll do Cantina nights instead, so that to keep it consistent. I hate to cancel and miss a whole week with you guys and stuff, because for me it's about keeping Star Wars in front of you guys, keeping the conversation going, the love of the EU, love of the movies, the games, and all that. And so I think that's important. So if you see a Cantina night, that means it's nighttime, probably around 9. And then if you see calf chat, of course, that's the Thursday mornings, 9 a.m. So thank you guys again for tuning in and sitting with me and all my shenanigans and stuff. And to all my channel members that popped in, Tuscan Bob, Open Airlock, to all of you guys, thank you again. And even Raging Rhino, coming in after he his live stream is over. Thank you guys for crossing over and supporting as well. And to everyone here who subscribes and hangs out on a regular basis, you guys are amazing. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I can't believe we're at the last week of Star Wars Appreciation Month on my channel. And thank you guys for following suit and stuff. And again, share, tag me with, when you share on Twitter, if you have me on Twitter, tag me to anything that's related to George Lucas era of Star Wars. I would love to see what you're sharing out there and keep that conversation going. That's what's really important to me, is keeping Star Wars, classical Star Wars, in front of every single one of you guys and the greater social media. So thank you guys again, and may the Force be with you.
Another happy landing.